Mic check 1 2 1 2. How you doing, everybody? I know it's been a while. Here we are, season 2, episode 1. About to kick it off with a good one. So I have two guests with me today. This right here is the homie. This is Justin. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on with y'all?
And this right here is my roommate Adam. So
what's up, everybody?
I got these two dudes on the show. We're all, very deep thinkers. We all kind of converse here and there, and get entangled in like a lot of really in-depth conversation. So we're going to try to bring one of those conversations to light for you guys today and get things kicking, get things started. All right. So the first thing I'm going to say is, everyone has different types of thought process, right? And everyone thinks in a certain way that may either A, be blinded to them, or B, brings them to a new conclusion of life. Some people can think real narrow-minded, some people can think real abstractly. So the question is for a lot of people, how are some people going to bring that narrow-mindedness back into the open? How are they going to be able to break all those chains that, society has brought on them for years of their, development? So the whole point of this podcast is to get young people to think deeper about life and society. For some people, that may be harder than others, as I was just saying. Some people are creative, abstract thinkers, able to think outside the box, while other people, they have only been shown the inside of the box and have no knowledge of anything else. So how would you guys think that someone could kind of take the time to look at different perspectives and be able to think critically and abstractly about certain situations? Because it doesn't have to be just societal. Like, it could be versus a problem. Like, how many times have we had like tests like the SATs or something like that, where like you just have to think abstractly and think outside the box to get to the answer?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I feel like one thing is like a lot of people, they learn the set in stone ways to do things. You get the tips and advice when you're like doing this. Like, somebody wants to teach you something. Like, hey, this is how I do it. This is how we do it. This is how it's always been done. And it's important to use that as a starting ground. But if you only do it that way and something goes wrong and there's a hiccup, you're not going to be able to adapt because you haven't thought abstractly or thought about things where you did something similar. Like, simply just think about, this task, even though it was new to you, what's a task that you've always done or that you've done a couple times that it's been a little bit different? And then you can somehow incorporate it into what you've done before and what you're doing now.
I definitely agree with that. Going off of what Adam said, like, I feel like personally writing something down, like physically seeing that I'm like making that action, crossing things off. Like you said, if you completed a task in the past, that method worked. So use the same formula just in different things in life. It still applies. But I think us as young people too, we get caught up in thinking so far ahead that like we forget we have so much in front of us.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to your mindset, honestly.
Yeah. So basically, what I got from that was you have a certain way of doing things that works, and you're able to change a little bit. Some people may not be able to see that change.
Right.
They may not be able to be like, maybe I should try it this way. Some people are so set in stone that their mind isn't able to branch off like that.
Right.
So that's what we're going to dabble in a little bit more today, and thinking and talking about specifically what kinds of things one person can do to kind of open up their mindset. So the best leaders are probably the most outgoing and creative thinkers. Leaders can change the world for the better or the worse, but for this podcast is to invoke change. So this is kind of us, whoever's on the show, myself, the guests, we're all leaders in a sense, trying to invoke some sort of change for some other person, for someone else. And anyone who tries to invoke change can be seen as a leader. It's a very powerful thing about change.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to accomplish, but people need to come to understand that it has to come for life to continue.
Right. And I think also with like leadership too, like I agree, like the qualities that you've said, like being outgoing, being a wide thinker, very important to being a leader. Another thing is just your motivation and your goals. Being outgoing and things like that makes it very much easier. But if you don't have the mindset to be a leader, to take that step forward on your own, have the initiative on your own, you have the characteristics, you have the potential, but you don't have the drive. And without that drive, you can't lead and you can't cause change. And you need that to really be a driving force. You yourself be your own driving force.
I like that. I feel like we had a conversation off camera earlier actually about leader qualities. And I always felt like personally, like being labeled a leader is a hard thing, I feel like, because then it's like you're viewed to do what you're expected, but then you're putting a lot of stress on yourself of like what your goals might not line up. Exactly. But if you have them qualities, like I feel like you have a blessing that not everyone has, where you could touch people. So it might not be like, you could always advise someone, I wouldn't do this, like if I was you, it might not fit you, but you can always steer people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what a good leader does. They're able to steer, not kind of taking you and telling you how to do it, but showing you why this is a good way to do it.
Right.
And that's how good people become leaders, you know?
Exactly.
So, with that being said, before we start thinking deeply and to help those who have a hard time thinking deeply, we must find out the things that are blocking factors for most people. What's preventing someone from thinking deeply? So, blocking factors would include the society, authority figures in your life, how we spend our own attention, and sleep. Believe it or not, sleep is super important. And I know the people in this room right here, we don't get too much sleep all the time, and we got to do a better job at it. But society can be both large or small in factors. So this meaning it can branch from small social interactions such as friend groups like us, or be as big as one's government or their country. Your society or social interactions can shape you, yet blind you from the personal and deeper thoughts of yourself and things around you. So, that's pretty, self-explanatory. There's certain things that we've been told our whole lives, and a lot of people choose to just believe them, and that's that. I've talked about this in previous podcasts about being blinded and in the relativity of truth, trying to find your own truth. Truth is subjective for any one person. So with society trying to block you from those things, then you have to try to use different perspectives to break out of that. Try to think of certain ways. You're thinking, okay, you can't do this. Well, why can't I? They might be totally right. There might be something like, hey, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. Like if I was going like, hey, you shouldn't rob someone. Like, okay, why shouldn't I? Like, okay, see the consequences, see what it does to that person, to that person's family, to you and your family. Think, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this. That way you're coming to the right answer, but you're doing it on your own terms. You're not being blinded in any one sense. You're able to think abstractly for yourself, and that one thought or action is going to be able to push you into doing that with other aspects of your life.
And then societal factors, like we're talking about with all that, like you need to open your mind to biases, both external, internal. Something I've actually been learning a lot about from one of my teachers in grad school right now. And it's just that there's the biases that you you have just based on how you feel, how you act, how you think, or that not that it's not the right or wrong way. Like obviously, like you need to get rid of biases, but if you don't open your mind to the biases you don't feel or notice that you catch yourself in that trap, there's the ones you can't catch yourself in that trap, where you're not realizing how you're acting, your body language, your eyes, your motions. It's reacted based on your internal bias that you might not even realize that you're having. And that's something that you have to open your mind to really thinking and really start to draw those things out into external so that you can slowly adjust them day to day.
Definitely. I feel like too, you said like social, like I think like our social groups and like just internet, like society has a huge impact on people. Also saying like if something's never been done, like who's to say you can't be the first? Like that's a personal drive for myself. Like if there's no one that ever did it, why can't I be the one that did it to set the example? You know what I'm saying? Like why can't it start with me?
Absolutely.
So
Facts. So there's a lot of times where people, like we were just saying, will run and just run with something. They won't really think twice about it. And the biggest factor for us in our generation is the internet. Like the internet can be a really good place where you can find really good information. And we're in the age of information where we need to go out there and look for the internet and look on the internet to see things that we need to find out things are true or not. Now, with that being said, there also are a lot of, alleyways or avenues for misinformation. There's a lot of people putting out false things or, just being spiteful or hateful and, just trying to throw people off track. And it can, be confusing for a lot of people. I can't even tell you how many times I've got, conflicting reviews from both sides on a particular argument or a particular issue. And I was thoroughly confused. Like I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I'm gonna go with this group. But I had to take time to actually sit down and think about it and be like, all right, what side am I on? And realistically speaking, you don't have to pick a side. You could be like you could be right in the middle, be a third, So it's like you don't ever have to fall on any one side. You could be, different. You could be someone that's, in a different category than everyone else. That's what makes people special, you know?
Definitely.
And then with the internet, yeah, especially like you said, it's the age of information. We're getting flooded information all the time, and we spend extensive amounts of time on our phones for social media and things like that. And you'll scroll through your timeline and you'll see these articles and you'll see these videos and you'll watch them, and there'll be really cool facts, there'll be really cool, interesting things. And your immediate response is like, I just learned that. I learned something new today. But you gotta realize that there's accounts out there that are just pages actually made for just misinformation, just for like, you know, make a laugh about it, or, you know, where they might have gotten skewed information themselves and they're just putting it back out there to get views, get likes, get shares, and, you know, get subscriptions, get fancy things like that, you know, upgrade their status as an account on the internet. And the best thing is take that information that you just saw. If it was a cool video, cool information, something you think that you found interesting, take the time, next 5 minutes, get off social media, go on, you know, some type of research type website or something like that. Look at a couple articles, a couple different things, and see if that was actually accurate. That way you're not spreading misinformation along with them just because you saw it, thought it was cool, and why would they lie to you? Well, it's not that they wanted to lie to you, it's that they might be misinformed themselves, or even if they just might have wanted to lie to you just for the views and things like that. Make sure you're fact checking yourself. Even look at the source of it too. Make sure that it's a proper source and that you don't keep looking to them for information.
Definitely. I feel like too, like the internet has like a huge impact on like our era especially. And it's like, I feel like people get so caught up in what they see and trying to make their life that way, when in reality, like your happiness should be determined on your interests and like the people around you. It should never be what you see, because a lot of that's fabricated. But like, I mean, it's just what the era we live in too, honestly.
All right, so next stage in this topic is we talk about authorities. So I want to bring out the biggest authority in anyone's life, your parents. Those are the biggest authority figures you will ever see.
Oh, yeah.
People you look up to since the day you literally came out the womb. So how do you guys, first of all, how do you guys interact with your parents on a level of an authoritarian figure, like someone that is supposed to tell you what to do to a certain age, and then they, you know, let you go free? How do you guys kind of deal with being told what to do by your parents?
So I was blessed with some very, very nice, laid-back parents. Definitely great role models, great leaders. You know, my dad was a military guy, and so I do have some military habits instilled in me, but he wasn't like the whole like strict, your shoes better be tied all the time, you better not mess up, things like that. He was never that guy. And like, so my parents, it's a good relationship where like I can talk and interact with them casually, but they've also instilled so much respect in me that I know things that like I still wouldn't do. Like I have friends that call their parents by their first name. I to this day will never do that because it was just something that's instilled on me. And so now when so when I see people like, you know, even just my parents' age, I wouldn't make the habit of calling them by their first name. It's Mr., Mrs., and things like that. And just so they've instilled like, you know, a lot of factors on me, and I look up to them, and if I need advice, I go to them for advice and the guidance, and I really take it to heart. But I also do know that at the end of the day, it's my decision, my life, and so I can take their advice from it, what I will, sorry for that, and then, you know, still make my own decisions, my own life, and I know that, you know, thankfully for me, that my parents aren't going to scold me or be that, you know, drilling me to the ground like some figures are, where, you know, if it's someone outside of your parents, or maybe if it's some of your parents.
I feel that. I mean, for me, like, you know, I know my parents are gonna watch this because it's my podcast, so I gotta be careful what I say. You know what I'm saying? But like, for me, you know, my parents and I, we have a great relationship, you know. But to the point I was trying to make, you know, there's a lot of times, you know, they'll tell me what to do, and I mean, for one, I'm a very forgetful person. I'll forget the hell out of something like 5 minutes later.
You know,
but
me too,
like I'm good for that. You know what I'm saying? But like, with that being said, there's also a lot of times where they'll tell me to do something, they'll give me advice, and I'll think, dang. Like, I'll think about that advice, think, wait, should I really do this? And this is as a child, like at a young age. I'm like, wait, should I really do this? You know what I'm saying? So, and it's like, a lot of times, it'll be really good advice. I can't tell you, and Pops, I'm sorry, because like, I can't tell you how many times that man has given me good advice. And I was like, man, you know what? He don't know what he's talking about. I was like, man, he don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, like, man, it's new nowadays. It's different. It's not.
And you live, you like.
Yeah. Then I go through it. I think back, and this might not be till like a year, 2 years down the line. I'm just thinking about the past, and I'm like, dang, homie was right. I was like, yo, and I think like, yo, if I would have listened to him, like, it would have went so much better. I can't tell you.
Absolutely.
And you know what? It's bound to happen with my kids too. That's the worst part.
Sure.
I know I'm gonna tell them stuff. They're gonna look at me like, shut up, dad. Like,
Yeah, just keep pushing, doing what you were doing before, and you're like, all right.
so like,
I feel like
You live and you learn.
yeah.
I feel like personally, like my parents were young parents, so it's like I feel like I did a lot of growing with my parents in certain aspects, but I always had that respect to like this is my parent. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain things, no matter how mad I get, and it's like to this day, me and my mom, or my mom and I, we have this thing where like she'll text me like, where am I going? And she'll blow my phone up and she'll forget like, dang, he's 21. But it's like, I feel like it's a hard transition where we're at, like for our parents as well, like dang, our kids are adults. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I definitely learned a lot from my parents, humble beginnings, so it's definitely helped me a lot.
And I think age is important in that too. Like I remember, like when I was a teenager, when my parents told me to do something,
It's like
9
I know
times
what
out
I'm
of 10
doing.
I was doing it. You know, and
Yeah.
it's now that I'm older that it's kind of like, you know, they wouldn't be upset if I didn't do it. But a lot of times there's that pressure when you're really young.
And
It's like
respect too.
yeah, it is respect.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you know, the pressure of like I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want them to be angry.
Yeah,
You know,
for
things
sure.
like that. It definitely guides the way you think, the way you act, and things like that.
I find it wild how like, you know, and like you were saying, in certain aspects you grew up with your parents.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, bro, they're just people just like us,
Just
bro.
like us,
There's no
bro.
cookbook to this stuff, man.
Mhm.
Like you could just have a kid. Anybody can, you know, be a father, but not too many people can be a dad. You know what I'm
Right.
saying, bro? Like
Yep.
it's real easy to be a father, but being a good dad is really hard. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And like you just kind of you make shit up as you go along. Fake it till you make it. Like
Yeah.
that's just what it is. It really is what it is.
Like that's what we got. We're gonna do it together.
Exactly. It's like, all right, look, we got a responsibility now, and that's the craziest thing for me. Like coming out of college, it never once felt like I had to do something, but it was like, all right, I want this, this, and this, so I have to do this, this, and this to get there. You know what I'm saying? And it's always been kind of like that's my responsibility. But in a sense, it doesn't feel that way. With a kid, I will have a child, so I cannot speak on what it's like, and I know I can't understand it until I actually do have one myself. But I do know that people do have a responsibility, and as you know, to be a dad, you have a responsibility to that child now.
Yeah.
You
Just
know,
look at what like the times too though. Like everything's just so different. Like I saw a quote one time, it was like, how are our grandparents' marriages lasted so long, but we were not lasting? You know what I'm saying? Like just everything's changing. We have to evolve as people, and I feel like so many people get stuck, and like you said earlier, they don't know how to evolve or like how to change. Like you can never change who you really are, but you can evolve on your mistakes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we as people, you know, especially as kids, we have to take what our parents tell us, and you know, take them all with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? Not only take what they're telling us, but what you know we're learning in schools, we're taking from society. We have to
Life
learn from our
experience.
past. Yeah, learn from experiences in the past, analyze it to construct our future. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only way we're gonna move forward and keep pushing forward as a society. I've said that multiple times, and I continue to say it until it begins to happen. We gotta speak it to existence, you know?
Yeah.
just look at us. We all from different backgrounds. We sitting here, you know what I'm saying? Like it just shows you that there's hope in that.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, just be from different backgrounds. It allows conversations to vary more than if you're in, when we're talking about society, you know, you hang out with your same friend group or you hang out with the same guys every day and you have these same conversations with them. But then when somebody new comes in, you're like, yeah, you know, we'll just have like casual talk. We never, you know, first time I met you guys in general, like when I moved in with you and when I first met you, we went right into deep talks sometimes.
That's
And-
facts.
Definitely.
First day we moved in, bro.
First day,
We was
yeah.
up till 4 a.m., bro.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
straight.
yeah.
I was sitting
Yeah.
on the counter. He was sitting right there, bro. We was
Bro,
talking till 4 a.m.
We were playing chess, talking 4 a.m. Same thing. Just like it's crazy because I feel like we get rushed as like humans. Like things might not go on how you feel, but it's like I try to live by like everything happens for a reason, and you're always where you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
it's all a lesson.
And then other authority figures to think about too is not just your parents. Your parents are probably one of the biggest ones, but also, you know, your teachers, your bosses, your coaches,
For sure.
your big things like your government, your police force, things like that.
Yo.
But just remember that, you know, they're going to give you pressures and you're going to feel pressure just because of, you know, superiority and hierarchy and things like that. But, you know, like take what they have, evolve your brain with that, open your mind to all of their perspectives, and then just let your driving force still be the leading factor, and then just learn from different people and different authorities, but don't let them force you into any roles or things that don't feel right and things like that, that you can feel like, well, how am I supposed to argue with them? How am I supposed to, why, my idea is not going to be as important. Your idea is just as important.
Yeah.
So that's a thing with authority to always think about.
All right, so let's look at what we've talked about so far. You know, I mean, this is a lot of stuff we've talked about before on this show, and stuff we said before with authorities and society, and trying to be open-minded. But we're not really getting into the depth of like how to make someone actually open-minded. We're doing a lot of things that what you shouldn't pay attention to, but what should you start doing, right? This is a bit new of something, right?
Okay.
So what you should do, especially for our generation, is we have to spend less time on our devices, man. We gotta spend less time. That really closes your mind, bro. Like, it closes everything. You're not able to think as abstractly when all you're doing is focusing on a phone. You're kind of restricting your mind to what you're able to see.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get to like a kind of and I'm sure a counter argument can be produced on something like this, but this is the way I see it. When you get to kind of the outside world and you're able to, kind of see things for what they really are, and you have to really figure things out, you won't be able to figure them out because you haven't experienced it or paid attention to things around you. That's the bigger thing, to where you're able to see it. That way you don't have to experience it, and you're able to. We was talking about that last night too. Yeah. It's not even being in the certain situation. It's about being able to witness it, realize that what's going on, and then being able to be like, you know what, I don't want that to happen. If I see somebody, you know what I'm saying, like he jumps in a lion pit and he gets towed up, I'm like, you know what? That was a bad idea. It's like, I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be able to analyze something and be like, you know what? I'm going to do the opposite of what this person did, or I'm going to change this slightly and keep moving forward. And you're not going to be able to do that as much if you're always on your phone, you're always, on social media. That's like the biggest thing.
Yeah. For
people who know me, my Snapchat got taken away from me. So like, and you know what? The reason I haven't gotten it back yet is because, I felt like I was able to open my own eyes. I was able to start writing. I was able to start reading more. I was able to, make interaction with people in person rather than, through a phone. I was able to text more people, call more people. Like, there's a lot of certain things that, you can change about your life just by deleting one app, or, just putting your phone down for a few hours in a day.
I mean, just look at like this year alone. I feel like COVID like had a huge way of like showing people like time is like never promised and life is short. So like we were all forced in a way to do those things you just said. Like you couldn't go anywhere, so you were stuck with the people you were with, but you got to really just spend quality time. Conversations like this, just talk about memories, like all types of things.
Yeah.
But I feel like, why did it take a pandemic for people to realize the valuable things in life that we've been witnessing our whole life? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never understood that.
With phones in general too, like it's funny like how hooked on phones and social media we are. A few months back, I remember deleting Twitter, and I remember like actually having to take a moment to debate. I was like, do I really want to delete Twitter? But like at the same time, but that's like, it's funny that like I even had to like really debate it and feel some type of way about it, because it's a social media app. I should have been like, I'm never posting on Twitter. I see the same stuff. I follow sports accounts like nothing else. I'm not learning anything too crazy new. I can learn those from ESPN app. So I was just like, yeah, I got rid of it. Haven't regretted it. Haven't wanted to go back. Anything like that. And then also being in the moment. You sit on your phone. You're in a room full of people. Sit on your phone. And then, like, even when something's going on, something happens, you pull your phone out, you record. And you think because you recorded that, because you have the recording and the proof that you were there, you were really there. But really, that phone takes you away from the situation. Because you're taking your eyes directly off of what is happening and putting it on a phone screen, watching it on this device. You're almost shutting yourself out and putting yourself in an outside view by using your phone to be in the situation and not just actively involving yourself in the situation, or you're just being a part of it and embracing it yourself. The phone actually takes you out, even though it feels like it's in the situation.
Yeah. I feel like though too, like that's very true. But what if someone's recording their phone, but they're watching? Like, what the amazing thing about having cameras, we can capture the moments that we tell stories. Like, dang, I wish you were there. Like now it's like we have a chance to show people.
Good things.
There can never be counter arguments made. I just feel like in some situations, like yeah, you can watch it with your eyes still too, but like you're not as interactive. Like I'm somebody who in the moment of things like that. If you guys know me and who's watching this and knows me, once like I'm having fun and I'm out and things like that, like I don't check my phone. If you know me, and it's not
I
even.
started doing that.
I respect
it's not
it.
even
That's
like
hard, honestly.
I'm so good at this point. I don't even think about it. I forget I have a phone, and I'm just so involved in it.
That's good.
But then it also bites me in the tail because I never answer my phone for nothing. So people will text
I think
me.
I called you the other day.
Yeah. Sorry to anyone who I've ignored on accident, and that's why.
I respect that though. Like being able to like discipline is a very hard thing that like we face as humans. Like it goes back to how you were talking about evolving, like looking in the mirror and admitting where you're wrong and like making the effort to change.
Yeah.
But like it's the same thing. You get a job, you make money. Like all right, I gotta pay bills. I gotta do this. I need gas in my car. I need food in the crib. But it's like if you get that big check, sometimes it's hard. Like I'll make this money back. You feel me? It's the weekend. I might go out with my homies. Then it's like, dang, I'll make the money back, but I put myself in a tighter situation. So like that discipline of being able to put down the phone and just live in the moment, like that takes a strong type of person, honestly, because it's something so simple but so powerful.
So the one of the reasons why I brought up phone is technology, because also it could mean TV shows and movies, binge watching stuff. You know what I'm saying? The one reason I say that is because at the end of the night, you're in your bed, you're chilling, and you're on your phone, you're scrolling through, right? It's good to be alone with one's thoughts. That's where creativity is really beginning to increase. That's when you're really able to look inward to yourself and kind of think also outward about different topics and ideas or things that are just going on in your life. So with less outside stimulus, your brain is going to be forced to find a new way of thinking. You will have a bigger and better idea of the world around you, and you'll be thinking deeper about different societal and cultural issues. So the less time you spend on your phone or in front of the TV or anything like that, the more creative you will end up being. Being bored will open your mind to new mental doorways you never could have thought were there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like just like being able to be like, man, I really have nothing to do. Like those days, like think about when you were a kid. You didn't have a phone yet, right? You didn't have like nothing to do. The power is out, it's raining, you're bored. And I know we've all been there. Like you have nothing to do. It's like, man, as an adult and that happens, you're like, man, what am I gonna do to entertain myself? How am I gonna have fun? You know what I'm saying? You can't watch TV. You're gonna read, you're gonna exercise, you're going to paint, draw, whatever the case may be. You gotta find something. You know what I'm saying? That something's gotta be enjoyable. And that right there is where you find creativity in, for entertainment for one, and two, for things that you really enjoy. You're forced to look into yourself and see like, all right, I think this is pretty cool. I'll make it a hobby of mine. Next thing you know, maybe you draw one time or you write one time and you're doing it every weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And that's where you find your passions and everything you need to start working for in your life. You feel me?
Simple activities that simply just like fire different neurons in your brain and just create different thought processes, where when you're just binge watching a show, all you're really doing is just shutting your brain down and just taking in what it's throwing at you and just looking for laughs or just some entertainment, which there's nothing wrong with, but in small doses. Don't binge watch a whole series in one day.
Yeah.
Take some time to, like you said, draw, because then you fire the creative side of your brain when you draw. You're not really doing that when you're sitting around watching. Or read a book and you fire those nerves. And it's things that you don't normally activate in your brain when you're just shut down, locked into your phone, locked into your TV show, watching your TV, and just letting your brain just coast off. And then, like you said, just actively getting in your own thoughts. I know your own thoughts can be intimidating sometimes. Sometimes you can really get in your own head. But realize that it also opens you up to what you need to change and what you need to open your mind to and what you need to figure out, what you want to figure out, things like that. And even just what you're interested in. If like I zone out, and I'm a big fan of like aquatic life in the ocean. If I zone out and think about something, I'm like, yo, I want to learn about this. And so like, it's one of my like little side brain hobbies. I'm a huge freak with that stuff.
Word.
Big animal guy.
Yeah.
Going off of that, I think it's also cool to take a time to like look at someone else's creativity and use it for your own. Like watching a show, like, dang, someone thought about this, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can that help me in another aspect of my life?
Yeah.
So it's always cool to appreciate there's so much talent in the world in so many different ways, like, just little things we take for granted.
I like you when you're being creative with your art, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get like, different inspirations from everywhere.
Definitely, man, definitely. You don't even know. Like, little things. For sure, like those of you that don't know, I make music. My name is Justin, like I said, but my rap name is VIP. But gotta put that out there. But definitely, I find inspiration in so many things, whether it's past experiences, seeing friends struggle in life where I'm at currently, other artists, a lot of things, but not even just on me, like just any artist in the world, whether it's drawing, painting, making movies, whatever it could be, acting, like, I think it's important that if you strongly believe in something, having a small circle that supports you, but also being able to accept ideas from other areas.
Yeah, you gotta be able to be open-minded in the sense that you can see something, be like, you know what, I kind of like that.
How can I learn from it?
Yeah, you know. Like,
And I do like the point you made too about like you can learn from TV and stuff like that. You know, like we just sat over here just kind of talking about binge watching and stuff. But if you watch it a little bit at a time, I remember talking to you about the X-Men. You remember when we talked about the X-Men? Like, growing up, I watched the X-Men, things like that when I was a kid. And then I remember watching, I don't remember what specific movie it was, but I just remember, sitting there thinking about what, the show was trying to teach me, was trying to show me.
Behind the scenes.
And this is, I looked it up to double check to see if I was right in this, but with my own mind, I was managed to pick out the fact that you could find similarities in Malcolm X and Martin Luther King in that entire series based on Professor X and Magneto. Magneto being a similar role to Malcolm X, where he's trying to unite the mutants and then get away and then take power and just have power in their own people instead of trying to unite them. Where you find Professor X, who's trying to intertwine the world of non-mutant versus mutant, and Magneto's is based on mistreatment that he's gone through, and then Professor X wants to take that and do it differently. And then so when I picked that up in my own brain, I was like, that's kind of cool. I wonder if that was intentional. Looked it up and it was intentional, and I was like, that's a really cool thing to learn from something as simple as watching TV, things like that.
Definitely. No, I love Malcolm X, man. I love that you brought that up, having that correlation between a TV show and a real life
world
thing.
yeah.
That's real things. But I love Malcolm X, man. I love how just that mentality, just what's going on in the world right now. There's certain things that we'll never agree on as people, but I feel like there's certain things that you have to face as a society. You know what I'm saying? You gotta look it in this eye and face the truth of things.
Yeah.
But I like you said, to bring people together, it's just similar things.
So for creating a creative mind or reduce the blocking factors you have, one being your phone and social media, two being authorities in your life, so whether it be parents, teachers, whatever, and three being society, more so relative to your friends or people you're around on a regular basis, right? So those are three things you could do. So the fourth thing is getting more sleep, something we all need to do. And I mean, what time were we up to last night? What?
3.
2.
I had to crash it too, just because I work in the morning.
Yeah,
if I didn't, I got
I
on
feel
something,
for me personally, being young, this isn't even an excuse, because I know it'll catch up with me. But being young and wanting to do so much and just having 24 hours in a day, it's how much can I do running off of as little as possible?
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's smart, but that's just how I work. It's I get anxious, dang, I can do this much in a day, but it's what if I cram a little bit, lose some sleep, get up early, I can do more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's really important to budget your sleep time.
Yeah.
Don't undersleep, but don't oversleep. You have to find that right amount of balance, because you oversleep and you lose time in your day where you could have been productive and done things like that.
It's important to rest.
But it's also if you don't sleep enough and you're running on 2 or 3 hours of sleep a day, you're gonna be exhausted. And you're gonna be able to go through your functions, but not with as much emphasis and attention as you could if you were caught up on your sleep.
Like I said, I've stressed this before. Sleep is gonna be your power. That's your brain power, bro.
Yeah,
it's recovery time.
Yeah, you're able to actually think more clear and more open-mindedly if you sleep well, and it's not just sleeping well for one night. You can't catch up on sleep. At one point in time, I want to actually have an episode about just sleep and the importance of it. It will be something short, you know what I'm saying?
That'd be cool.
That's
Cool segment for sure. Yeah, because it is
like,
important. That sleep's your recovery time. It's
physiologically
going
has a
off
lot
of
of
that though.
effects.
What about the people that have insomnia? You know what I'm saying? What would your advice be for those people that have a difficulty falling asleep?
They need a doctor for that one. I can't give too many tips on insomnia, because that's not their own fault, not their own actions. There's people who think they have insomnia because they just keep themselves up. But look for ways to get you up with sleep. Talk to your doctor and try to get it, whatever medication you need, or even simply, if the doctor knows some habits. I personally don't, because I don't have insomnia. I don't know anyone with insomnia. If I do, see, there you go. See, I don't know enough to give you advice, or,
but I feel
because I don't know what habits to tell you, because I don't know what if, like, you know, I could tell Mick, hey, this helps me fall asleep if I listen to this. Or
everyone's different though.
But
Yeah,
you know,
sure,
your brain through with insomnia reacts differently than ours would. You know.
True.
But see, it's like I get to a stage where I feel like I don't think I have insomnia where like I'm up for days, but it's like I have insomnia to the point where I can be up, where everyone's getting tired. I'm like, let's do something.
I have issues with my circadian rhythm. That's a thing. Where
Okay,
it's like
maybe that's
mine's not technically insomnia, but like where your body has its natural clock, and you know, one of the things is your body's supposed to be able to like pick up on things. Like when the sun goes down, your body's supposed to be like, let's slowly start getting tired. And mine doesn't do that. And it probably has to do with it, you know, watching a lot of TV and like, you know, just putting yourself in a situation where you're not really aware of your background.
You, bro.
And on top of that,
you gotta reduce that technology time. I'm telling you.
Right there. Sleep and
That's
technology.
the hidden message of this whole thing.
Yeah.
You keep coming back to it. Pay attention.
Sleep and
pay
technology,
attention.
yeah.
Try to pick up on cues that your body would naturally, you know, in a normal day would be able to tell. Sun up, sun down, get tired, wake up, and then, you know, don't shut yourself in a dark room or whatever, because then you'll never wake up. And don't sit in a bright ass room when you're trying to sleep. You know, I think another tip I heard just about people who struggle with fall asleep in general is like put your phone down like 30 minutes to an hour before.
Yeah.
Not like don't do it 5 minutes before you're gonna fall asleep. Your brain's still firing and active. You need to like slowly wean your brain into settling down and calming down and falling asleep.
For me personally, like I don't know if it's you guys or just me, but like I seem to find, going back to the topic earlier, most of my motivation at nighttime when it's like everyone's sleeping and I have time to really think and evaluate, like
being alone with your thoughts improves creativity.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I said I don't feel like I have insomnia, but I can be up because it's like a moment where all right, I can do what I really want to do without the pressure,
without distractions,
yeah,
pressures,
exactly. Yeah. So I feel like it comes, you know what I'm saying? It comes down to who you really are as a person. But sleep is important for sure.
But then again, like, so you get your work in at night.
For sure.
So get your sleep in the morning.
But then it's like you're battling. How many people are up at night though? So it's like you don't want to get in a routine where you're the only person up and you're missing everything. Not necessarily like what's going on, but just life. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be like, dang, I'm up at night. Everybody's sleeping.
I'm not saying sleep all morning.
No, yeah, I know what you mean.
Like
but
that
just
budget,
like,
you know, like make your sleep either before or after. You know,
it's
like,
a priority though.
Yeah, work in your sleep where you feel like, you know, if you feel like you're best awake at night, sleep in the morning or take a short little nap in the day or whatever, so that you're still cognitively aware and you know at a good level. Or if you're a morning person, like, you know, your old roommate Connor LaGuardia.
Oh God,
good old,
What about naps though? What you think about that? Taking little breaks out.
I personally, based on everything I've heard and things like that, like I actually think it's better to do shifts of napping than one big session of sleep.
So you would rather nap like 20 minutes throughout the day a couple of times than have an 8-hour rest back to back?
I don't know. Yeah, like I would rather.
It's important to have both, but like I don't want to, you know, dive too far into
We'll say this for the sleep episode.
Yeah, we gotta save it for the sleep episode. You feel me?
You're right. We just give you a little like foreshadow.
Okay, that's the sample.
We got a couple other, you know, really. I was talking to you about topics. We got some other really good topics coming.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the ones I'm really excited about is overthinking. Pretty much a lot of what we were going to talk about today. So the 4 things we have, right, are going to be the society, authorities, social media and phones, and then sleep. Those are going to be the 4 big things to really help you. Those are small things that anyone can do, you know what I'm saying, that will help you, you know, think more open-mindedly. And, you know, it might not be, you know, something that happens right away, you know. You should start to try new things as well, you know. Maybe start doing things that's going to, you know, make your brain work a little bit more. Maybe you read a little bit more. Maybe, you know, try to improve your vocabulary. Maybe try to, you know, like get more into art and like, you know, see different things and, you know what I'm saying? So the more you're able to do that, the better it's going to be for you. And the more abstractly you're going to be able to think, the more intelligent you are.
Yeah, for
We need more intelligent people in the world than smart people.
We had a conversation too, like you kept saying like the lack of knowledge. Like I feel like us as people, like there's so many things every day in life, whether it's TV shows, interactions with people, life experiences. The lack of knowledge, how I view it, is like us as people thinking we have it figured out and like deferring that information. When you can learn so much, it's about like not listening to respond, but listening to really hear what you're saying.
It's crazy you say that because Stephen Hawking said a quote that I absolutely love, and it was like the biggest argument against knowledge, or like I guess villain to knowledge, is not ignorance but the illusion of knowledge.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Thinking you're smarter than you really
Exactly,
are.
yo. And I was
Thinking
like,
you have it
whoa.
all figured out, because we really are behind on a lot of things.
We
I mean,
learn
our own
every day.
planet, you know, like our own planet, there's so much of it we still have to explore. And it's crazy because, like, how many people live on this planet and how much area do we already take up, and there's areas that we still haven't figured out. And then space on top of that is even more expanded than that.
Yo, I was just about to say that I personally always thought it was crazy how we know more about outer space in our own ocean. We live right, you know what I'm saying?
I talked about that before here too.
70 to like 80% I
That's
think is the range. It's unexplored, unmapped, uncharted, and that's just it's crazy. And then the other thing about the ocean that I think is crazy is, you know, we go
Ocean man.
No, Aquaman out here. So also you have to realize that, like, you know, we get our day-to-day living and we see trees and things like that every day. What we study about the ocean is crazy because it changes while we're gone. So you go back and it's different tomorrow because we can't watch it 24/7. Or even with the areas that we think we know, we really have still more to learn about those areas because we miss out on so much because we don't live down there.
Yeah, I think that's unique and scary at the same time to think that it's everlasting, but also it's never promised.
It's also a good time to plug, drink some water. Yeah. 70 to 80% of the ocean's not explored. Like most of the planet's ocean, most of your body's water. Drink water. You know what I mean? Also the water.
Hydrate.
Hydration's key. Yo, hydration, great for the brain. But and then, like, yeah, also, like, I think some good party thoughts too would be like simply like do things like puzzles. You know, like puzzles open your brain in a way that you don't realize, because again, it fires different parts of your brain that you don't normally fire. So simply, even if you're on your phone, download an app where you're doing puzzles or you're doing word searches, or, you know, get a book of word searches and things like that. We play chess all the time.
People don't know that, man.
Yeah, play chess. I love chess. Yeah,
For
I
hours.
play chess all the time. All you guys binge watching that Netflix show. If you want the smoke, come get it. And then also just like observational things, like simple things can draw your attention, and like you can learn something by a small interaction, and also even just like a small detail of something where you're like, well, why is it this color, or why does it feel this way? And that gives you something to be like, I kind of want to look into that. I kind of want to research that. And then, you know, it's motivation to expand your brain as well. And then try new things. Like when you get older, you can get complacent. You know, you got work, you got school. You'd rather just get through those, sit on your phone and take a nap, go about tomorrow.
I feel like that's just human nature though. Like, I don't think that comes with age. I think that comes with like.
Well, like you're busy.
There's some technical difficulties, apologize about that, but thank you to my two guests. We had a great conversation today. Content was very full, a lot of what I was looking for, and I appreciate that. We got a lot of really good topics on my Instagram story, so for one of those questions, and I really appreciate that. We don't have any Q&A questions, unfortunately, but I'm thinking about having a day where I just I'm able to sit down and just talk about just all the topics and kind of go through stuff. That'd be really cool. And you know, I hope you guys come back again and try to learn and open up your mind. I would encourage you guys to really try those 4 things, open up your mindset, and, you know, branch out a bit. You know, try something new. Thank you for that, man. Thank you
for having us.
It's
Good
an
talk,
honor,
for sure.
man.
Yeah, definitely good talk.
Appreciate it. All right, y'all. That's it for today's show. Then make out.